Hey, what's up, Gemini? Welcome back to another timeless tarot reading. It's going to be pretty standard. I'm going to do my 139 reading for you today. So without any further ado, let us begin. Per the usual, make sure to check the description box down below to see how you can support me on social media. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this content if you like it. And if you're feeling extremely inclined, please don't be afraid to send me a few bucks on PayPal. That would help me immeasurably right now. So thank you very much. All right, so core energy for your reading today, we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. So not really great off the top, not super ideal. Very often, this is going to wind up being a healing reading and not a validation reading. The validation readings would be all sunshine and rainbows. Healing readings tend to get into tougher matters for the viewer, and the Queen of Cups reverse is sort of a great signifier that that's the case, that this is going to be about healing, because Queen of Cups reversed tends to be toxic energy. Whether that's insecurity within themselves, causing them to bleed out that toxicity, being the emotional bearer that they are, that toxicity can come out very strong. Often the strongest in terms of pure emotionality and pure toxic emotionality compared to any of the other suits and suit cards in particular. So very disappointing to see that as core energy. But let us see where the clarifiers take this then. Okay, so we've got these two coming out pretty quick. Knight of Swords and the Strength card. Interesting. So Knight of Swords, that is actually your energy. Wind. Strength card, that's fire. Leo. Mixed in with Queen of Cups. So huge blend of energy. Huge blend of elements. The Knight of Swords is how you could turn around this toxic energy. If you are purely being led by this toxic emotionality, whether from within yourself or from somebody else, Knight of Swords in the upright is a way that you can sort of achieve mind over heart to pull yourself out of that toxicity. And as you are Gemini, a wind sign, you are actually more natural in that position to stabilize your heart like that, being a wind sign. It's more natural for you to embrace that wind quality than stay stuck floating around in this negative, toxic emotionality. So great sign here for one way to overcome this is to sort of embrace your inner strength, which I know is kind of cliche for what this card means, but it's actually pretty much that straightforward. You're embracing courage within yourself to make yourself better. You're pulling from your spiritual heart to grow and increase your own personal quality, your own personal capacities, which has to come from a source within you, ultimately. And what that's empowering is this Knight of Swords energy, which is about stabilizing your emotions using your mentalism. It is about mind over heart. And it's not saying that you have to throw away your emotions or ignore your emotions, but you cannot let these toxic emotions rule you. You need to rule them. And if you can do that, you can turn them around into emotions that you want, emotions that are better for you, better suited for your experience. And lucky you, you're air sign, and the air sign is stabilization of form. It's about stabilizing forms. And what you're stabilizing here is your heart. It is your emotions through your own internal fortitude. And it's saying that you can do that rather quickly because the Knight of Swords is known as being a fast card. So something that you can pull off pretty quickly according to this energy. So let's move on. Let's see if we can get another clarifier. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool pair for this. So healing, but not like... Sometimes the healing readings are all negative and there's a ton to work through, but this has actually been pretty straightforward. So let's see what we can get for a final clarifier here on this Queen of Cups reverse. Yeah, it's not your natural element being led by your emotions. You're going to feel more comfortable rationalizing yourself into better feelings. Not letting your feelings lead the way for you and dictate the way for you. So final clarifier. Ooh, Five of Swords reverse. Very bizarre. Very bizarre because I read this card as a sign of moving forward unjustly. you see a path before you that is riddled with risk, and you think that you can overcome that risk. But the reason that other people are not following you is because they don't think it's possible. And when this card is in the upright, you're correct, but when it's in the reverse, you're not correct. You're going down a path that you're going down a path that they aren't going to follow because they understand that it's not worth the risk, that you can't overcome the risk. Or maybe if you do overcome the risk, it's just the cost is too great. So I'm not sure what that's all about, because you were just about to get over this toxic emotionality by embracing your rationality and sort of conquering your toxic emotions, and you were going to do that with your inner fortitude. But then you move on to this like weird space where you are failing to get other people to see your side because you're taking too much of a risk. So I don't know if like there's some toxicity lingering over from this. Maybe once you sort of rebound on your feelings, you like overcompensate in your confidence, and that causes you to take too much risk. That can be one downside of the Knight of Swords energy, is that it can be very reckless. So it's almost sort of what I'm seeing here is that like you pull up from Queen of Cups toxicity using your natural Knight of Swords energy and your strength. But then like you've got to kind of be careful to not get overzealous, to not get too reckless, to not get too overconfident in your success in that. That's basically what I'm seeing here. So a very interesting warning. And also it's also wind again, so it's natural for you to be in that zone of kind of weighing the pros and cons and the chances and the risks of stuff. But a very stark warning that you've got to watch out for taking up too much confidence when it is not due. So very interesting for sure. Very interesting. And a tarot reading like this might be exactly what would embolden you too far. Because if you take up my advice here and you actually do cure your emotional toxicity, that might make you feel very empowered. You've just got to make sure that you cinch it up and you don't turn that into overconfidence that will not serve you. Alright, so Knight of Swords clarifiers, we've got Knight of Wands reversed and Six of Pentacles, so that's kind of weird. So, Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords, those cards are very similar. They're a little different in what they're all about. The Knight of Wands can typically be very reckless for recklessness's sake. I don't know if recklessness is a word, but sometimes they're just reckless because they've got to take any kind of action. That's just what they're comfortable in as a fire sign, as primal force. The Knight of Swords, on the other hand, they're usually reckless because in their mind, their idea works, or their idea is going to work, but sometimes they're reckless about it because it's just they're overconfident. So they act out in similar ways, but for different reasons. The other thing is that wind empowers fire. You know, wind emboldens the flame. So a little bit of what I'm seeing here is that it almost goes back to this Five of Swords reverse, where you're like in this newfound quality of yours, where you're tempering down your toxic emotions. It has a weird tendency here to seep back out as taking any action for its own sake, as opposed to taking action that is a little more conscientious. So you've got to watch out. This person can be bully. It can be very bully energy because they're just acting out is per ultimate to them, to this energy. So another sign here to watch the overconfidence. And following that up, though, very bizarrely, is the Six of Pentacles. So sometimes people get things when they're a bully. It's just the nature of life. Some people like that bully behavior. They like the dickhead asshole behavior. And sometimes those dickheads and those assholes are rewarded. And that's a little bit of what I'm seeing here, is that even though this reckless behavior, this kind of D-bag behavior is being channeled here, you might fall into getting rewards for it anyway. And that is something that happens. It's disappointing, but it's something that happens. It's another thing that could embellish your overconfidence. So it's another thing that could lead to this kind of drastic drastic recklessness not playing out in your favor in the long run is because you got reinforced by people giving you something for being a jerkwad, basically. So you've really got to watch that. You've really got to watch out for that, because there's like energy here for you to heal properly, but then there's like this undertone of overconfidence, and sort of not even necessarily only because of what you do, but because of how other people reinforce this overconfidence in you. So very interesting. Definitely keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Final clarifier for Knight of Swords, please. Also, knights typically embody, well, they can embody males or females. They tend to embody males more often, and males are usually the ones who can get rewards from certain people for being jerks like that. So a little bit of a sign here that you might be a male, not set in stone though. So let's see here. One more clarifier, please, for Knight of Swords. All right, this one's clear. So Knight of Swords cleared. Final clarifier is the Lover's reversed. Wow. That bizarrely plays into what I was talking about. Usually that jerk energy, when it acts like a jerk, like when assholes get stuff, it's really short term. So the relationships coveted from those behaviors and the rewards given for acting like that are typically very short term. And what I'm seeing here with the Lovers in reverse is there's a good shot that you might misinterpret that. You might get into this relationship for being like this, for acting like this, and then very soon after, what you thought was supposed to be somebody who actually wanted a long-term relationship, they didn't want a long-term relationship. They were just looking for the short-term experience of having a relationship with this D-bag energy. So there's also a shot here that you will fall into a little bit of heart tribulation over a relationship if you aren't wary of why you're getting into this relationship. And that's very disappointing. But that's about as clear as that gets. Like, you just you gotta be careful about that. You gotta be careful about why somebody actually wants to get with you if you're being a jerk. Sometimes it's just purely for very short-term physical relationship. And if you aren't wary of that and you think that they actually like you for more reasons than that, it can often backfire on you because they were only in it for some physical pleasure. They weren't looking for an actual relationship. So it's something you got to watch out for sure. All right, so let's move on to the Strength card. All right? Ah, crap. So this one wanted to come out pretty clearly. For Strength, we've got Page of Wands. That is actually very similar to Knight of Wands, but luckily it's in the upright. So Page of Wands is somebody who is not afraid to express how they feel, even if they feel negatively. They're just not afraid to express that. They're natural in that taking that action. They're natural in expressing those feelings through their primal force. It's very natural for their fire energy. In your fire sign, or excuse me, no, you're not. Your wind sign, my bad. I keep thinking Aries because of how much these fire signs are getting in here. But you're not a fire sign. You're a wind sign. Gemini. So, sort of what I'm seeing here is, when you're in this Queen of Cups reversed energy, if you are not expressing that properly, it bottles up. The Page of Wands is exactly how you could vent that energy, especially if you're in the upright. If the Page of Wands is in the reverse, you might be trying to express it in, like, you might be expressing it very dastardly, in a very dastardly method. You might just be very inconsequential about how you express it, not really caring about who you step on in the process of expressing it. Whereas in the upright, you're a little more conscientious about how you're expressing it. And you're going to express the parts about yourself more than trying to flail it out on everybody else. So the Page of Wands is a very great outlet for overcoming this Queen of Cups reverse energy. You can actually express that toxicity in a way that allows you to clear it out of your system. And that's a much healthier way to do it than just being a jerkwad, like this Knight of Wands reverse can be. So that's very good. It also emboldens well with this Knight of Swords energy. These two match very well because Once again, the wind emboldens the flame, and your wind sign emboldens the flame. So you have a natural capacity here to actually do this properly, and it's emboldened by your strength. So it might take some courage to express this like this. You might not be used to expressing yourself in this fashion, but you can in fact do this. And if you can do it, like I said, in a healthy way, where you're very honest about how you feel without raking everybody else through the mud while you're at it, that can be very, very important for healing through this Queen of Cups reversed energy without getting into this Knight of Wands jerkwad energy. And it also meshes well with your Knight of Swords energy, which is trying to get you to take that action in a rational manner. And also, because the Knight of Swords is such a rational card, being mental energy, that can help you girder how you express yourself. So they can serve each other actually pretty well here. So that's a pretty cool sign for how to heal out of some of this. And then, because it crosses here with the Six of Pentacles, there will be people who appreciate you acting good like that. They will appreciate you being conscientious in that manner. And that's another way that you could get some support from others. So, not too bad, not too bad. Let's move on here. So further clarifiers for the Strength card, please. Okay, so this is trying to come out. So Strength clarified by Ten of Wands. Well, another fire card. It wouldn't surprise me if you've got a lot of fire in your chart. Pretty solid amount of 4 solid fire cards here. So, Ten of Wands is a very tricky card to read. But through expressing yourself like this, through embracing your strength in these fashions, through overcoming your Queen of Cups reverse toxicity, people might start coming to you for how to do this themselves. And they may feel it may start to feel heavy how much extra work you have to do by trying to deal with all of these other people's feelings. But this is showing that even if that happens, you have the capacity to continue moving forward to deal with it. Otherwise, this Ten of Wands is showing a little bit of heaviness about this whole thing. And I'm not exactly sure what that is. Off the top of my head, I'm going to continue to clarify because Ten of Wands is a tricky card to read sometimes. So pretty quick further clarifier. Final clarifier for Strength is the Four of Swords reversed. Okay, so not great for that position. It's once again following this Lovers reversed. So a little tricky. It's a little tricky because usually when you go into Four of Swords mode, you're doing it using your strength. You're doing it using your internal fortitude because you're taking a step back to stabilize how you're going to feel in the future. And unfortunately what I'm seeing here under the Lovers is you're not succeeding in stabilizing how you're going to feel in the future. So it's almost more repercussions of this very short-term relationship. You have the short-term relationship, you discover it wasn't what you thought, and then on top of it, moving forward, you struggle with actually dealing with how you feel about it. You're not managing, and it's also a sword card, so it's your natural energy to stabilize this, but this is a sign that you're going to have trouble stabilizing that. And it's very disappointing, and part of what it's suggesting here is that one reason you're having trouble stabilizing it is because you found yourself extra burdened by something. It's not necessarily bad, whatever the burdening is. It's more natural than anything. It's in an optimistic light because Ten of Wands is in the upright. And it speaks to your power that you're burdened like this because you're the one who can bear the burden. But the burden is making it harder for you to reflect upon yourself now. And it's making it harder for you to stabilize your emotions moving forward. So you're losing to a certain extent, you are losing your ability to sort of do head over heart. You're losing your ability to stabilize your feelings and lead with your mentalism moving forward. And so I don't know, maybe this is like a workplace relationship and you don't have a choice, but you have to go deal with this person that you thought wanted more to do with you. And this is just a sign that you might be struggling with that. So maybe you're struggling with it now. Maybe it's a potential for you to fall into struggling about it if you don't heed this warning about getting into this short-term relationship. Or maybe you feel like this and it's getting through to you now that I'm saying it, that this is all not serving you, and perhaps just understanding that you're in this energy is where you're at. But to turn it around, it's just another sign of using your internal strength to turn it around. And unfortunately, what we're seeing here now then is that Four of Swords reversed going into Five of Swords reversed. That can be another stark warning that other people aren't going to see your side to how you think you were wronged. So just brace for impact. If you try to like go to others and get them to take your side on how this makes you feel, or if you try to go to others in this situation to try and get some sympathy from them on, you know, maybe you're like trying to like name call this person, or maybe you're trying to put this person's reputation down. Unfortunately, the other reality I'm seeing here is that other people are not going to follow you down that route. They're going to turn towards liberty and other people having their own freedom to make their own decisions. So I'm sorry that you're potentially getting into this, but focusing on this, whatever this relationship might be, is not going to serve you very well. It's not going to serve you very well. You're being called to definitely look beyond that and find some acceptance for it, because the cards are not playing out here like a lot of people are going to be on board with you, putting them down or tarnishing their reputation, so on and so forth. So it's very disappointing. But sometimes that's how it works. So to clarify on that, let's actually get the clarifiers for the Five of Swords reversed. And let's hope we can see some energy about you turning up here. So first clarifier for Five of Swords reversed, we've got, dang, Eight of Swords reversed. Okay, so that's, I guess I shouldn't say dang off the bat. This can be a card of freeing yourself. It can be a card of, it can actually go both ways though, unfortunately. It can be prolonged entrapment, which is not where I want to see you be. After the advice I just gave about letting this go, like really digging your heels in and staying stuck on that ground is not good. It is not going to serve you well. So there's a dual call here in the Eight of Swords to not get, in the Eight of Swords reversed, to not get stuck grinding your heels in about this relationship and about how this relationship didn't pan out in the way you wanted it to. Like, maybe you liked somebody for like months at work or something, or wherever, and you just like, you never managed to get in a relationship with them, and then you turn around how you feel for a little bit, and all of a sudden they want a physical relationship, and you're like, oh great, finally, and now we can be together for a while, because I've always liked them like that. But what was really happening was they were just turned on by you being a dickhead, and they, you know, have a very, very short-term physical relationship that was never about having a crush on you and having a long-term relationship with you. They never had that feeling for you. They were inspired in the short term by this weird new action that you took. And there's just a lot of energy here that you're just gonna have to accept that that's what happened. If you don't accept that that's what happened, you're going to get stuck in this hyper defensive energy, and it's very repulsive. It only attracts people wanting to pick on you and pick you apart. And it puts you in the perfect position to be the person who gets picked apart like that, because you get stuck in an indefensible position because of your fear. So don't get stuck on leading with how you feel. Don't let how you feel dictate how you approach all of this. You've got to embrace your mentalism. You've got to embrace your rationality. And you've got to supplant these toxic emotions with a healthier mentalism. And you've got to lead your heart a little bit on this one. That is how you can move on from this Eight of Swords energy. So you've got a mixed energy here where you could move on, but you also could get really stuck here. So you've got to make sure that you really, and because of all this extra fire energy in this column, it can be very severe how hard you fight for this, but it's not going to work. Fighting this isn't going to work like that. It's just not in the cards for you. I'm really sorry about that. So let me move on here. Let's see what else we can clarify for the... Okay, so we got two right off the bat. So the final two for Five of Swords reversed, we've got Eight of Wands reversed, damn. Eight of Pentacles reversed, dang! 888. 888 on the last row, son. All reversed, though. Oof. Ouch. Yeah, dude, this is just... Man, it's really striking me that you like... Oh, you've actually got 8888. Because you got the the Strength card here. Dang, and I forgot my numerology, but 8 was always about continuation, right? It was, I can't remember it exactly, but 8 was about continual flow, and this is the last thing you want to be continually flowing on. So it speaks really hard to what I was saying. And so essentially what this is suggesting is that if you do not, or if you were not to hear this message, you would go down this toxic route quite ostensibly, and you would be stagnated from ever getting what you wanted. You would put yourself in a hyper defensive position that would allow you to be a target. You would lose people along the way who aren't going to stand with you on this, and it's even going to affect your ability to produce. You could very likely turn towards very toxic behavior, very conniving behavior, to try and get back at this individual, and that's not what I want to see for you from this. It's not what I want to see. All I can really recommend here is you can't be desiring this individual. It's going to keep you super stuck, and it's going to affect you in a lot of different ways. It's not the desire that's meant for you. That desiring that is not going to work out for you. So I'm very sorry to say all this, and I wish it was better news than this. I really do. But unfortunately, this is what we've got for you. You definitely do not want to get stuck in this 8888 continuance of this energy. And the way you can bust out of it is it's going to come down to some internal strength, some courage to see things a little differently, some courage to stabilize your emotions over this whole thing. Because the price to pay here is too much. You don't want to lose, you don't want to become this bottom row. You do not want to become that. You want to move on from this fear. You want to move on from this anxiety, because you do want to see your manifestation desire, and you do want to see your work pay off for genuine reasons. You don't want to be blocked from your desires because they're unreasonable, and you don't want to turn towards shoddy behavior to try and get back at somebody. It's not genuine. And you also don't want to just get stuck in this cycle over and over and over, which is exactly what Eight of Swords is. It's you being stuck in this over and over and over. So, I'm very sorry. I can see now why you've got Queen of Cups in reverse energy in your heart. I can see why it's here. But if you want to move on from that, you've got to try and heed this advice. These three cards in particular. Knight of Swords, Page of Wands, Strength card. Being honest with how you feel without stepping on others. Being honest within yourself to encourage your own fortitude, and then rectifying your mentalism to stabilize your emotions, to find healthier emotions. Do not lead yourself with your emotions during this. If you lead yourself with your emotions, you're going to get stuck in this dastardly pattern. And it's not what I want to see for you. I want to see you actually be able to achieve your desires and actually be able to free yourself from these things. So, alright, Gemini. I'm sorry about this healing reading. That's all I've got for you, though. So, thank you very much for being here. Take care, and good luck with this.